Welcome to the Ravenna Nightmare. Tonight we are very proud to guest for the 5th time our British director and friend Simon Rumley, who won last year the Ravenna Nightmare, and now it will try again with his new feature film Fashionista. Fashionista is well, you are British, but Fashionista is actually your third feature produced in the United States of America. So, what did it happen? Why have you done Fashionista? Tell us the genesis of this new film of yours.
Well, it came from wanting to do a film about commercialism and consumerism and anti-consumerism. And I wrote a script which, in the end, I gave to people, and everyone was like, it's okay. And usually with my scripts, people go, that's amazing, or that's crazy. But no one ever says it's okay. So I decided that was the wrong script. So I started from scratch from the beginning. But I knew that we were able to shoot in Austin, Texas. And I knew in Austin, Texas, there was a lot of vintage clothes shops, which kind of fed into my idea about consumerism. And then I also thought of the actress who I worked with before, Amanda Fuller, in Red, White and Blue, and I wanted to work with her again. So all those things kind of came together, and I decided to do this kind of, drug film, drug addiction movie, but with no drugs. So essentially an addiction film. So in a short way, that's how it came about.
Well, when talking about addiction, I must emphasize the fact that even if you often come here in Ravenna, which was originally a horror film festival, your films are not definitely pure horror genre. I must confess I feel like more in a psycho genre. You love psycho characters from the very beginning of your career as a filmmaker.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I mean, as much as I love to watch horror films, generally I haven't done straightforward horror, and often I'm asked, are your films horror at all? And depending on who you talk to, they'll say yes or no. And I've actually termed my own phrase for what I do, and I call it extreme drama, because there's a lot of drama in what I do, but at some point it goes, as you say, kind of psycho, it goes crazy, and that usually means that there's some kind of violence involved. In Fashionista, it's more internalized violence rather than externalized.
Yes, definitely.
But Red, White and Blue was more external violence, of course.
Being a British director in the United States, which are the differences? You share the language, of course, but maybe you will have noticed as well some differences when making a film in the United Kingdom than in the United States, I guess.
Yeah, well, it's a hard question. I mean, I have to be honest and say I've generally found American crews to be slightly better.
Okay.
But there's many great British people, of course, but I've found overall the American crews seem better. So that's one thing.
More industry.
Yeah, exactly. And what else? I think there in the US there's unions, a lot of unions. Where in the UK there used to be unions, and there may still be, but they're nowhere near as powerful or as present. And so there are, certainly when you go above a certain budget, unions which have, and that they will have very strict rules. So coming from England, where that's not so much the case, sometimes that was a bit surprising. But then again, in Texas, where I've shot 2 of my films, it's called a right to work state. So you don't have to be part of a union. So it's all a bit confusing, really.
And dealing with the stories in themselves, I remember your first feature, which was more like a ghost story, or a crazy ghost story, maybe more European, and now you turn to the craziness that is inside the American dark heart, I guess. I don't know, there are 2 dark hearts, one in Europe and one in America. Have you felt that difference?
Well, I think what's interesting is, and I've certainly read this in a few reviews, that even though I've done films in Austin, you know, and a lot of people said that they're very quintessentially American films, that they're also done with a European sensibility. And of course, within Fashionista, or at the end of Fashionista, I specifically, you know, say the films are inspired by Nicholas Roeg, who's a British director, of course, and probably as European as you get, really, because he kind of almost made his own kind of film structure, and I've tried to copy that. So I'd like to think I do, you know, very quintessential American films, but with a European sensibility, which you know, probably many directors like me from Europe have done.
And definitely we also appreciate your work. Thank you a lot, Simon. And thank you all, and welcome again to the Ravenna Nightmare.